Well, one of the things, obviously, I think the president has been incredibly petty, and obviously selfish to some degree, and unpresidential. My comments have been consistent in that regard. I just think that when you're the president of the United States, you should have better things to do, and you certainly should know how to act. And there's a level of decorum that comes with the presidency. You can say what you want about people's politics and what have you, and people like yourself and others are far more qualified than somebody like me to get into the nuances of that. But when you talk about how you're supposed to act and how you're supposed to conduct yourself, it's simply inexcusable, the kind of things that he's done.
What about this attitude, and you hear it as much as anybody else, that athletes ought to just perform on the field, the court, and stay out of politics?
I've never been one that is a supporter of that. I've always been supportive of athletes speaking their mind. I want them to know what the hell they're talking about. There's no question about that, at least to some degree. But there's clearly, when you think about sports and it being a microcosm of society, and the kind of impact that athletes have had throughout history. You can go to Lou Alcindor, you can go to Bill Russell, you can go to obviously Muhammad Ali and others, Kurt Flood, and free agency, just to let Jackie Robinson integrating the sport of Major League Baseball. The list goes on and on. It is clear that sports has played a very, very pivotal role in the advancement of our society. So I've never been one that co-signed with folks who had that kind of attitude. And a matter of fact, one of the things that I've always harbored is that, they're quick to tell people, Joe, about how athletes should stay in their place and what have you. And, not only do you oppose that, but it's so hypocritical in so many different ways that they would have these attitudes. These are the same folks that are quick to call out, and I pointed this out on my radio show on Sirius XM Channel 80, which, I always point out where your morning show is because I think people should listen to this show every chance they get. One of the things that I'm consistent about is that, these folks that talk about how athletes should stay in their place, these are the same individuals that are ready to hold a 19, 20, 21-year-old, 25-year-old accountable for the most innocuous things imaginable. Obviously, there are more serious things that you got to hold everybody accountable for, domestic violence and all of those other things. There's no question. But anything these guys do, people are all over them. Well, you can throw that out the window now, because when you can't hold a 71-year-old man that's holding the highest office in the land accountable for his behavior, you've got no business talking about professional athletes, particularly considering how young they are. And that's the kind of thing that I was pointing out on my radio show yesterday, the inconsistency, the hypocrisy of it all. You got individuals that are learning how to become men that have been thrusted into the spotlight because of their athletic exploits and abilities. But you have somebody who literally is the commander-in-chief, has dominion over so many people just in terms of his position, that you have an opportunity or the power to influence legislation that could affect the lives of over 350 million Americans, but you want to throw that out the window and you want to shove that to the wayside, but you want to hold young athletes accountable. I think it's utterly ridiculous and hypocritical.